Hi everyone, Jennifer Blevins Smith with Integral Clinic Solutions, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Navigating the Business of Medicine. Today I want to talk about what is medical credentialing. We're going to go back to 101 here in healthcare and talk about medical credentialing and what it is, why it's important. I get questions all the time asking, why do I need to be credentialed with an insurance company? What is the point? What is the purpose? That's a really good question because a lot of times people just go, oh, I need to be credentialed, okay, and they do it and they don't really think about why. And that's okay. However, it's good to know why it's important as well. Insurance companies require credentialing of individual providers. Again, credentialing is only for providers. It's not usually for a group. There are situations, maybe if you're an FQHC or a rural health clinic, where you become credentialed, but that's kind of in a different realm. We're talking about individual providers getting credentialed so that they can be participating with a specific insurance company. And that is with only specific people, providers. The insurance companies have multiple reasons why they want to credential providers. They are basically hand-picking and approving providers that are representing them to their beneficiaries, which are the patients that hold their insurance. The number one thing is making sure that there's patient safety. Patient safety is number one because they want to make sure that patients are in good hands, and that's also going to, at the same time, simultaneously, lower their liability risk of putting patients somewhere where they shouldn't and causing a bunch of potentially lethal repercussions, but also legal repercussions. Also, they want to make sure that they are not saturating an area with the same type of provider. You will hear a lot of times where providers will apply to become credentialed with a certain insurance company and they'll say our panel is closed or we're not accepting any more in-network providers at this time. And that's because in the area in which you practice, where you live, or whatever zip code you put on your information, they don't need your specialty at the moment. If somebody were to leave in your specialty, then it could open up. It's not a guarantee. However, they do a lot of statistics based off population and beneficiaries that hold their insurance in the area and how many providers groups they already have with that specialty. And they kind of make the decision from there. I'm sure there's more elements to that, but that's my basic understanding that that's kind of how they look at it. If they don't need you at the time, they let you know. So that's another thing. The other thing, and the way that they try to limit or lower their liability risk and include and think about patient safety, is they do basically a very thorough background check on each provider. They look for and validate, actually, they want to look at the provider's trainings, education, clinical history, performance competencies, to see if they have any legal issues. Providers have to fill out this questionnaire that asks about any kind of legal situations that might have happened in their lifetime. And if they have to write an explanation of why, how, what happened afterwards, what were the repercussions, things like that. They do a very, very thorough review of all of this information because, again, their goal is to lower or eliminate any kind of liability that might be outstanding. Like, they're not going to accept a provider that's been excluded from Medicare, most likely, or Medicaid, or somebody who has had so many malpractice suits against them. They want to make sure that they are keeping themselves as clean as possible, because could you imagine they accepted a provider onto their panel, patients were allowed to see them, and the patient ends up having the same experience with that provider that other past patients had, and it was reported, but they didn't do their due diligence and they accepted this provider and patients were put at risk. I mean, that would be horrible. So they're basically policing and making sure that they are putting the best people in their network to represent them, to see their patients that they trust. This doesn't always work. We know that things happen and things can fall through the cracks, or people can have things happen after they're approved, even with a clean history, and then it gets, maybe a little bad. But they do the best they can. And that's why the credentialing process is so thorough. That's why you have to send so many details, personal information, education starting from your bachelor's degree. You have to send all of your clinical histories. You have to send any information about your residencies, board certifications, CEUs. If you're recredentialing, you have to send at least 3 people that are your reference checks, basically, that you've worked with that can speak firsthand. You have to send your license number, your DEA number. You have to send your liability insurance and past liability insurance so that they can check policies and if there were any claims. It's very thorough, and that's why it can take a while too. Most providers do not have an issue passing the credentialing. However, they do catch and disapprove people based off some of these backgrounds that they're checking that don't meet their standards. They all have standards. It's not just accepting everybody, even though it might feel like that because maybe personally you've never had an issue, but they do turn people away for certain things. And the liability is a huge part in their patient safety. But also, I'm going to be honest, I've seen more people turned away because they have closed panels due to the specialty than people who have a shady background. So that's good news. That encourages me to think that most people, most providers are good people and on the up and up. But, things happen, and it's good that they're doing their due diligence, because if not, that would be terrible. But again, medical credentialing is necessary. It's by insurances. It's for individual providers to be able to get the stamp of approval from the insurance company saying that, yes, they are basically worthy of representing us to our patients that hold our insurance plans, and we trust them to give the best patient care possible. If you have any questions or comments about this, please leave that in the comments below. Smash the thumbs up button if today's video was helpful. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and please share this with your colleagues whom you feel would benefit. I appreciate you so much. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.